and today we're going to be talking about the outbreak of measles and importance of vaccinations. Just a basic layout of what we're going to be going over is what are measles, 3 issues when it comes to measles, specifically 3 major problems, where measles are coming from, how it's spread, and also how to prevent measles from spreading, who's affected, such as children, and the importance of vaccinations. Many people ask themselves, do vaccinations actually work? Why is there so many outbreaks? And I'm here to tell you that vaccinations do work, and I'm going to tell you why it's important and how to prevent it. Going into what are measles, measles is an acute viral illness caused by a virus called paramyxovirus under the category genus morbillivirus. And basically what this virus is, very contagious between species like humans, dogs, cats, cattle, not just humans. All this virus really needs is a natural host. And it starts off with the fever. So first it comes off with the cough, runny nose, red eyes, and then obviously, as everybody knows, this rash or this breakout of red dots all over the skin. Usually measles last up to 14 days, averages between 11 and 21 days, and measles can cause pneumonia, encephalitis, and death. As several measles outbreaks in the United States can be a threat to our health. Over the past 10 years alone, there has been at least 1 outbreak of measles per year in the U.S. Many people believe that the outbreaks of measles show the danger of vaccination exempt. However, the APHA promotes immunization of the world's children as well as throughout the lifespan, and in order to keep people healthy, they need their vaccinations. 3 of the major issues when it comes to measles is that there are multiple false accusations that vaccinations are failing. Because more and more outbreaks are happening, people believe that vaccinations are failing, but that is ultimately not true. Vaccinations are constantly studied because vaccinations are designed to be given routinely during child care visits. They are extremely safe. Safety testing begins as soon as the new vaccination is completed and continues until it's approved by the FDA. Another major issue is that there is not enough education on vaccinations. As a result of a flat decade, funding has been very challenging to keep up with the demand of vaccinations, as well as the need to redouble their efforts to educate the public about the value and importance, making it very difficult. Another big issue is the amount of daily travelers. Many people outside of the U.S. are bringing these diseases and viruses, which is affecting the U.S. people, which is very hard to control. The largest outbreak ever recorded in U.S. history was back in 2014 in an Amish community with a report of 667 cases, as you can see on the chart on the right, by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The median age of case patients were around 15 years, 46% were females, and 89% were people unvaccinated. The key epidemiology features of measles outbreaks in the Amish community in Ohio were transmitted primarily within households, and the small number proportion of Amish people were affected, but just a couple people affected does affect a giant community. Another recent outbreak was in Disneyland, California in December 2014 to March 2015. The outbreak was of 147 cases, reaching 8 states, including California. The CDC says that it was started by a traveler visiting Disneyland for the day. CDC scientists also found that the measles virus leads back to the same type of virus recorded in the Philippines. So whoever traveled to Disneyland that day got that virus from the Philippines, or someone spread it to that same person from the Philippines. But it just shows how by coughing on someone or touching someone can affect 8 states in the U.S. by one person. Talking more about the spread, the majority of people who got measles were unvaccinated. Measles is very common all over the world, specifically Europe, Asia, the Pacific, and Africa. travelers with measles continue to bring the disease into the U.S., and measles can be spread when it reaches a community in the U.S. Where groups of people are unvaccinated. And you could just see this circle of measles spreading because you touch one person, that person touches another person, and it just, this chain reaction keeps happening, and it's very hard to stop. The ones at risk are babies, children, compromised pregnant women, and unvaccinated people. Measles can be very serious in all age groups, but it mostly affects children younger than the age of 5 and adults older than 20 years old. It's important to understand where measles come from and also the importance of vaccinations, because it's ultimately to save the children and also the ones around them, reduce the risk of spread, reduce fatalities because hundreds of deaths happen per year, and prevent the spread. Measles is very contagious, and CDC says that if one person has measles, 90% of people close to them who are not immune will get measles. The settings of measles transmissions have included households, educational institutions like schools, churches, healthcare facilities, homeless shelters, and other social settings. Again, the measles outbreaks is very important because we had to keep our children safe and others around them. Vaccinations is very important because it prevents people from getting measles and other diseases overall. If your child has measles, keep him home from school or childcare. In particular, be sure he stays away from others who may have been immunized against the disease. As a part of your home care, give your child plenty of liquids to drink. Some pediatricians recommend that you treat him with over-the-counter medicine, and if he has a fever and it's making him uncomfortable, take him to the emergency room. And if your child depends on symptoms commonly associated with measles, contact your pediatrician right away. It is for the safety of your child and others, and not risking other people getting infected. Overall, how can we prevent this? Step 1 is basics. Wash your hands, avoid contact because measles is transmitted through coughing, sneezing, and touching surfaces. Step 2 is vaccinations. Vaccinations is very important and is 97% effective to preventing measles. CDC recommends children to get their vaccinations twice in their life, usually 12 to 15 months and 4 years old to 6 years old. Third step is funding. The American Academy of Family Physicians, American Academy of Pediatricians, and the American Public Health Association is trying to fund more education and programs into the U.S., also raising money from $610 to $710 million by 2020. Evidence shows that for every dollar spent, childhood immunization save over $10, which means that investment will in fact result in the country saving money by preventing dangerous diseases. Prevention programs actually do cost a lot of money, and due to the amount of outbreaks, it is costly. This costs do not include the amounts inquired by private institutions or the indirect causes by families due to the lost days of work or ongoing care. Step 4 is education. Like I said, bringing more education into the public to prevent measles from spreading will definitely reduce the measles spread. Step 5 is report. A lot of people skip this step or just don't think about it because it's not something people keep an eye out for. It's not like they look for children that have red bumps all over their skin or their kid is sick, or it's just not something we're always on the hunt for. If you see something, you have to say something because it's so contagious and it can be spread like wildfire, and ultimately achieve the goal of preventing the spread and measles. If everybody just follows these kind of steps that I provided here, it will decrease the number of measles. Overall, measles outbreaks in the US in the recent years are so important to understand, and it affects children, not just adults, but all age groups, and it should really be addressed to everyone through funding, education, vaccinations, and bring more awareness to measles, because it's overall to protect everyone around us and everyone who's at risk.